morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Whatever time of day you are watching, this is the Victory Roll Hot Take Hangout. I am the one and only storyteller, Alex Braddock, and joining me as always,
I am Dylan Gilbert, the cameraman, the mark, the other half of the podcast. What are we talking about today, buddy?
Today we are talking about none other than the laughs, the funnies, the comedy in wrestling, which can span anywhere from a little sprinkle or the whole freaking steak. Dylan, what do you think?
Man, so I kind of agree with the Colt Cabana, funny equals money, in the same way that I believe red equals green when you do it right.
Go look back at one of our previous Hot Takes Hangouts to see how we feel about that subject.
You know, I'm wearing the Ricky Sheen page shirt now. That he's the guy that I heard say first. Red equals green, but if you do nothing but red, there's no green. So I think kind of comedy is kind of the same.
I can agree.
I think that we're starting off kind of at a point of agreement. There's a lot of nuances.
There is a lot of nuance. The first thing that I think people go towards, whether it is a love or hate for comedy, they bring up Orange Cassidy. What do you think about Orange Cass?
So I think Orange Cassidy, I'm going to jump out on this limb and say Orange Cassidy is doing it perfectly. Orange Cassidy is a very comedic character, but even throughout his matches, he will still be giving you the comedy moments, even when he has a serious thing. But he flips the switch entirely well. He had the promo following all the stuff that's been going on between him and Jon Moxley, where he talks about Moxley's crew Pillmanized Chuck Taylor's neck. They put the chair around, stomped the chair, big moment. This man is out for blood against Jon Moxley, and he finishes the promo by saying, I'm Orange Cassidy, and I still don't have a catchphrase, and rolling out of the ring. And it's like he just cut the most fiery promo of his entire career, and he still is just like, but I'm still kind of the funny guy, so let me get one in. Perfect. His matches, he starts off the hands in the pockets, the sunglasses on, and then you hit him the wrong way. You knock the sunglasses off, whatever. Well, now you have to deal with serious Orange.
I mean, you go back and look at Orange Cassidy's repertoire. If you look up Orange Cassidy on YouTube, or depending on at what point we're in HBO, if AEW streams, fingers crossed, because I really need to go back and watch some old school AEW stuff, you will find pretty much nothing but comedy matches. The first match I go to with Orange Cassidy is Orange Cassidy versus Chris Jericho in a orange juice
mimosa mayhem.
Yeah.
Because Le Champion has the bubbly, and Orange Cassidy's freshly squeezed.
I remember
that makes a mimosa.
It
was so stupid, but the match was so solid.
It was great. Conceptually
silly, but you deliver on a banger match.
And they made everything perfect in the times that we were in during the pandemic. And they took it, they ran with it, they made the most of it, and it was actually pretty good. But other things that you find with Orange Cassidy is, like you said, the hands in the pockets, the running around with the sunglasses, and you see a lot less of that now. But it's not
the silly thing of most wrestlers come to the ring, they've got the title over the shoulder or around the waist. He has it in a JanSport bag, and so he comes out with the backpack, and the idea is he's too lazy to carry the belt, but it's the exact same weight, whether it's on your shoulder or in the bag on your shoulder.
Right.
But it's just those little nuances of the character. It's silly. It's kind of stupid, but he sells it perfectly. And, once you knock those glasses off and he has to try, you've got one hell of a wrestler.
It's got to fire up. We can sit here and talk about Orange Cassidy all day, but what we're focusing on is comedy. We're talking about the funny bits of all of it. Dylan, I'll ask you, do you think it needs to be the full steak? Do you think it needs to be focused on strictly comedy matches? If you have comedy in a match, does it need to be the full match, or can it be a serious match and sprinkle in that comedy as you go?
I think kind of like a lot of our opinions, I think there's a little bit of yes and a little bit of no. I think by and large, it should be the seasoning and not the steak. But I do think there are times where in the right circumstances, the right people, the right moments, it can be the whole match. I'll toss Colt Cabana's name out there, and he had a match with Orange Cassidy.
Yes.
8-minute match. I show this to multiple people as I'm trying to like get them to pay attention to wrestling. Like if I'm watching with a new fan, it's one of the ones that comes up because it's not so overly serious, and the whole story of the match is a minute in. Orange Cassidy calls for somebody to bring him a beer because they're wrestling in front of a brewery. He has the beer, and the first spots he's dropping back, and he's doing his drop downs and everything, and he's keeping the beer upright so he doesn't spill the beer. Colt Cabana tries to get the beer out of his hands. That's the whole story of the match. Bryce Remsburg does a disqualification count out because Colt Cabana grabs the beer, and at 4, Colt hurries up, puts the beer back in Orange's hand. The whole story of the match is centered around Orange not spilling this beer.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was really fun. But 8 of that match on a card, it just gets to be tiring.
Yeah.
But 1 match on a card, great.
I am very much a fan of sprinkling it in. There is sometimes where you can have the whole stake, the whole match be comedy. For instance, one of those on a card. And then you could turn around and have 2 or 3 serious matches, and then you can turn around and have a serious fight with a little bit sprinkled in. A prime example that I have in my brain is on the local indie scene. I honestly can't remember if it's a 225 show or just in Louisiana. Corey Constantine chasing around a masked man in a cat costume with a spray bottle after they've gone 5 minutes of just awesome lucha libre fighting. That's okay. It gets the laugh out of fans. It calms them down. It sets their expectations for more serious in the future. And that's, as a wrestler, that's all you are doing is taking these fans and sending them through emotional roller coasters, whether it's a serious fight or it's a laugh or it's complete sadness because you've turned on your best friend. There's a place for everything. There's a place for emotions. But is there good comedy and is there bad comedy?
Oh, I mean, I think 100%.
I mean, look at the stand-up industry.
Yeah. Boy, howdy. We're not going to get into that one today.
Yeah,
but
that's a literal hot take hangout because hot take hangouts, fun fact, aren't really that hot takes. But we talk about them anyway.
The first couple were, and then we started realizing we agree on way more than we disagree on. But I mean, I think there's certainly bad comedy. I think there's obviously like when jokes don't land, that's one thing. And then sometimes you just have something that's like the premise is just not funny.
Right.
I go back to so the name redacted era of WWE. There are quite a few of these gimmicks that worked really well. I think when the Good Brothers, I think they were the club at that point, attacked the New Day, and they were like low blowing them on the ring apron, and they had like the pickle jars and stuff. They're doing the whole like they're making all these references to destroying the balls.
Basically nuts doctors. Yeah.
They were calling it ring post-itis and all that. It was hilarious. And then you turn around, and in that same span of time, Dean Ambrose is leaving the company, and he has that bit that he's talked about extensively on Talk is Jericho, where he's like, I'm going to need some sort of vaccine to deal with the foul people in this. And then they pull out the big comedy syringe and like, oh, we got to stick it in his butt. Yeah. But like, this is a serious wrestler. And like when he needs to do comedy, he does comedy well. I mean, look at Drunken Deathmatch, IWA King of the Death with Neil Diamond Cutter. One of the funniest things I've ever seen. He comes out like comedically playing up drunk and sings Sweet Caroline as he's running around, drops the line, I've got more belts than I've got pairs of pants. Great. He can do comedy. That was bad comedy because he was given a bad premise and a stupid idea. So I think there's definitely good and bad. I think just those two being like months apart. Like it's the ring post-itis was great. The like I'm wearing a gas mask because you people stink. It's just dumb. It's not good comedy.
Yeah. We can sit here and talk about good comedy and bad comedy all day long because in a sense it has nothing to do with wrestling. It's just good bad comedy or bad comedy. But essentially in wrestling terms, I go back to the whole roller coaster thing. We are made to feel or to make people feel, depending on at what point we're standing, if we're in the ring or outside of the ring. It is our expertise. It is
Yeah.
our job. We go in and we get our butts handed to us and risk CTE and death to make the fans go through roller coasters. And it's not our job to make them, to tell them how to feel. It's just to put on a show and to make them feel. It is entertainment. Essentially, that is what comedy is.
Yeah.
But topics for comedy, right? And I'll just hip fire them, and I just need a yes or no from you, and we'll kind of see how fast we can go through these.
Oh boy, here we go.
This is calling it on the fly, folks.
Oh God.
Yes or no from Dylan Gilbert, other than is it funny or not funny? Just yes or no. Okay, we're gonna go through it. New Day.
Oh, hilarious.
Orange Cassidy.
Yes.
Danhausen.
Oh my God. Yes. Perfect.
John Moxley. Stinky Face.
Terrible.
Eugene.
Honestly, conceptually, not funny. Execution, hilarious.
Invisible Man.
Perfect.
Wrestling a sex doll.
Again, great. If it's the right person telling the right story, hell yeah.
Wrestling a broom.
I'm about it. If you do it right.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Hot Take Hangout when we're talking about comedy. Yes, it's a shorter form, but sometimes you got to pull it out, and sometimes you got to pull out content to beat the YouTube algorithm. So if you like what you see, make sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button. We're working on an outro, but I've been Alex Braddock.
And I've been Dylan.
And we're
just two guys.
We're just two guys talking wrestling. Thanks for freaking showing up.